out, and she needed that break. She needed to go home. Don't forget, she moved here when she was 16 years old, and had a little bit of a hiatus there at one point, but went at it hard for 4 or 5 years, and she was just physically and mentally drained. So, and she had been away from home for all that time as well, so it was good for her just to go back home, be normal, live life, and see what that's all about, and really gave her some time to miss judo and miss the competition and miss being a superstar. And now she's she's grown up, she's matured more, she wants it again, and it should be a fun ride for the next 3 years.
That's excellent, man. Kind of tell some people what's been happening with Travis Stevens. How's his training going?
What people don't realize is that heading into the last World Championships, Travis was injured for a good chunk of time. He had about 8 weeks where he could not do anything. He had injured a rib, an intercostal rib, and he just couldn't. He couldn't breathe without pain, and so his preparations for the last Worlds suffered. He didn't have an opportunity to go through the whole program that we wanted him to go through, and I actually he had to fight in the Nationals. So yeah, basically he injured his rib at the Pan Ams, and then sat for 2 weeks and had to go and fight at the Nationals, and struggled through the Nationals, and basically had to do cortisone shots all the way through just to make it through, because if he didn't win that, he didn't go to the Worlds. Well, after injuring himself worse at the Nationals, I had to sit him for 6 weeks straight. He just couldn't get back on the mat and couldn't train at all. And so his preparations for the Worlds, he missed a lot of European training, he missed a lot of competitions, and he went into the Worlds, not at his peak performance. And even still, he had a very tough first round. He was all over the guy for the first 3.5 minutes and was dominating the fight, and just, judo's judo. It's unforgiving. He got caught, he got beat, and match over. And with the new system they have in place, where you don't make it to the quarters, you're done. Unfortunately, he was out after the first match. But Travis is an exceptional kid. He's extremely motivated. The next day at the Worlds, he was on the mat in his gi, Randorian, going hard. He's a kid who wants to win.
Right. And he's one of those dudes who really. He's one of those athletes. You have some people who are like what they call low volume responders, and some people who are high volume responders. Like, he's a high volume responder. He really feels a lot more comfortable when he has a lot of matches under his belt. I think that 8 weeks of time when he had to ease off of the training, those are the times that he wanted to travel and he wanted to compete. And the one mistake that he made at the Worlds was one of those mistakes that you don't make when you have a lot of matches before the Worlds.
Right. In order to compete well, you got to be
healthy,
sharp.
Right. You got to be healthy, right.
And so, but a true testament to his fortitude is, most people would take a month off after losing the Worlds, or they're so depressed that they, kind of go into hiding and they reevaluate things. Not Travis. He knows what his goals are. He got back on the mat the very next day, started training, doing randori, and right at the Worlds asked me, what's next? What can I fight in? I want to get back on the mat as soon as possible. And, 2 weeks after the Worlds, he fought in the British Open. He, made it to the semis, ended up taking 5th at the British Open. Then he went straight to France from there, trained in France for 3 weeks, came back, fought in the Rendezvous, won the Rendezvous, and now he's off to Japan. And November 14th, he and the rest of our crew are going to Japan. They're going to train there for 3 weeks. Then they're going to fight in Korea. Then come right back to Japan to fight in the Kano Cup, and they're going to spend a month in Asia training and competing all the way till Christmas.
I tell you what, the reason why I ask you what's going on in your dojo is because at the top tier or the higher echelon of coaching or of sport, we all say, hey man, there are no secrets to doing well, man. You got to work hard, you got to prepare, at ABC and XYZ, and we just throw that out there. Sometimes we do it without the understanding that the people who are looking up at us or looking up at the higher echelons of coaching or sport, to them, some of that stuff is what you would call, quote unquote, secretive, because they just don't know. That's why I asked you about the preparation with Ronda Rousey and the review and film and the film analysis and her coming back home and reviewing, revamping, and either wash, rinse, and repeat, or wash, rinse, and throw out some of the new techniques, because a lot of people don't really understand the iterative process of athlete development, and there's a lot more to it than just going hard. You know what I mean? There's athlete selection, there's having a quality environment and attitude in your dojo, and forming that and what you and your dad put together. A lot of people don't really see that, and I try to give people that type of, even though we're on the phone here, but that type of view, or understand the flavor of your dojo, because some people don't know that there's some people who come in, just for you all who are listening, there's some people who come in Pedro's Judo and they're there for a couple of weeks and then they're out, and some people stay for a year and then they're out because Jimmy Pedro and his father, they're developing a core team. And I remember Lou Holt said this a couple of years back when he was coaching Notre Dame. He says, I'm not looking for the best athletes, I'm looking for the athletes who fit into the Notre Dame football system.
Exactly.
And if you don't fit into the system, you got to go. And if for those who have never been to a practice run by Jimmy's pop, there is a system to it. Practice.
There's no
what?
No doubt.
No doubt.
No question. There's no doubt. We've had many elite athletes come through here, or supposedly elite athletes, or top in this country, and many of them, nope, that's not for me. That's not the road that I want to take. But I got to tell you, those people never got too far either.
Right.
There's a certain mold. The ones that have stuck here, that have believed in it, that have committed to it, have, at least I can say, have reached their potential. If you take a look at Alex Odiano and making 2 Olympic teams and medaling in Korea, and being a legitimate and taking 5th in Hungary the year of the Olympics and having a chance at the Olympics, he did. And you look at Rhonda and what she's accomplished, a silver at the Worlds and a bronze at the Olympics, and world junior champion and world junior bronze medalist. And then you look at Kayla, who's a 2-time world junior finalist. You take a look at Taraji and what he was able to accomplish, as a combination of being here and working with you, and taking a professional approach to his training. He's somebody, he won the Pan Ams. I mean, he took a bronze at the Pan Ams, but he upset the Cuban, and he did some fantastic results, and upset the Japanese guy at the Olympics, and he set himself up for a shot at a medal. And at least I can say that all of these people they reached their potential that went through this system. And this is the only program that's had an Olympic medal since 1992, and the only program that's produced a world medalist since 1997. I mean, any world or Olympic medals come out of this program, and that's not by mistake. But it's a lot of hard work, and I don't mean just hard work on the athlete's part. It's a lot of hard work on the coach's part, trying to get the most out of those athletes and demand that they follow a certain system, that they're disciplined, that they take a professional approach to weight training and recovery and injuries and videotaping and diet and running and conditioning, and there's a whole lot, and not to mention the psychological development of every player, because every one of them has their own.
Every one of them is different.
Set of
things,
complexities, whether it's a home issue, a parental issue, a spousal issue, or a significant other issue, or a financial burden or obstacle that we have to overcome. And there's a lot of complexities that go into developing the athlete.
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad you talked about systems, because the one system that a lot of people want to know about, and a lot of people follow, and a lot of people really